Welcome to Animate Intro and Frame by Frame Animation. Let's get started. We're going to go ahead and get out of the slideshow. We're going to go over to our Animate software, and we're going to start off by selecting the type of file that we want. Since we'll be working with animation today, we're going to select ActionScript 3.0. When we select ActionScript 3.0, we will open up into Animate, and we'll see our different areas of Animate. I'm not going to be going over the actual layout. We're just going to begin with simple animation. So the first thing that I want to do that we are familiar with in Photoshop is I want to double click on the hand tool so that I can fit my stage to screen here. So now I can see that this is exactly the size without being too large for me to actually see everything on my stage. Up here at the top, I have a layer. I have layer 1. I'm going to go ahead and rename layer 1 by double clicking on it, and I'm going to type in line. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create another new layer by clicking on the new layer icon, the little page that looks like it's turning at the bottom, and I'm going to name this background. Now, a good rule of thumb as you are animating is to make sure that you draw your backgrounds before doing a frame by frame so you can really know where you should be drawing your objects. You can rearrange the order of these by clicking and dragging it down. There we go. Now background is below line. You'll notice that each of these is empty. They are empty circles. That means that there is no content on that frame. And since there is no content and there are no other frames, we can't move the playhead beyond frame 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by using some of my drawing tools to draw on my stage what I want my background to look like. So maybe I'm going to start with my line tool. Notice when I click on my line tool, my properties panel changes so that I get the properties of my line. I'm going to click on the stroke color. I'm going to select a color for my grass, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw out a line. Notice that mine may be thicker than yours. That's because I have my stroke set to 3.0, so that's where that's coming in thicker. I'm now going to grab my selection tool, black arrow at the top of your toolbar, and if you go in the middle of the line without it being selected, you can get a little arc and you can click and pull and you can adjust how that looks. I'm then going to go in and grab another line. And I don't like to connect lines until I'm absolutely ready. I actually shouldn't have put that so close to the other. Oop. Get my arc. I'm going to arc it again. Pull it down. I really didn't make the shape I wanted there. Now I can come over and connect those if I want those to be connected. I can continue to adjust that, making it the size because I haven't connected them yet. They're not sticking together. Once they are completely connected, they will stick together. All right, and then I'm going to draw another line here. Notice that time I did connect them. That's because I knew that was exactly where I wanted it to go. There we go. Let's see how that will look. Now, if I try to grab the paint bucket and I try to fill these, they're not going to fill because they're not connected objects. If I scroll down, you'll notice that they have gaps in them. So I've got to grab that line tool and I can extend these out and then extend it up. Now, I don't want my viewer to be able to see this white space on the stage, so I can go to the corner of that and pull it down and have it hang off the stage so that my viewer can't see that. Now I can grab my bucket and I can try to fill inside of these. It looks like they're still not being filled. I guarantee you it's because of this disconnection here. So what I can do, this is a really cool trick. If you click on the paint bucket and you come to the bottom of your toolbar, you have this little circle here for gap size. You can tell it to close certain types of gaps, and then when you click inside of it, it should fill. And I've actually got white on, so you notice as the white kind of extended down, I need to change that color. There we go. So now those are filling in. I can double click on the hand tool to get that back to where I want. Now, another thing that you might want to consider, and this is just a good idea in case you're not sure how your animation is going to change, is to put everything on a different layer. So maybe I'm going to change the word background to grass, and I'm going to create another layer for different objects that I'm going to apply. Also notice how this is a filled circle now. There is content on this frame, so it fills it in. We call that a keyframe. So a circle with content is a keyframe. A circle without content would be a blank keyframe. All right, I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to call this sun. And I'm going to go ahead and create a sun here. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. Now, if I hold Shift, I can make a perfect circle. I can double click on any object to move it. Notice how it is circular because it is broken. I could also make a rectangular marquee around something to select it. I'm going to grab the line tool. I'm going to make a couple of little rays coming off of this sun. Now, these aren't looking too great right now with how they're drawn. I can go and I can resize them and move them by clicking on my selection tool. I can click on one and delete it. Animate makes it very simple to draw, edit, change, and manipulate. All right, so you've got the idea here. I don't think I need to make this any more detailed. All right, so what I'm going to do, also, if I wanted to copy this, I could select it. I could hold Control and Alt, and that would actually make a copy of it. So again, it's got to be selected. Then you hold Control and Alt. That's just like Photoshop. Adobe does a really good job of making sure that all of their different techniques and key commands work in all of their software. So if something works in Photoshop, more than likely will work here in Animate. So that's fine, that'll do. All right, so now I want to start with my frame by frame animation. So I'm going to click on my line layer. I'm going to lock my other two layers so I don't mess with them. So if you click on these little circles below the lock, it'll lock those layers so that you cannot change them, you cannot move them, you can't do anything with them. And then on the line layer, I'm going to grab the line tool. I'm going to have this line be blue. And I'm going to start off with my line here at the top of the actual hill. Now, if I wanted that to appear beneath the grass, I would bring him down so he's below. So a frame by frame means that we are drawing every frame and how it looks differently. So if I want to draw another frame, but I'm drawing it differently because I'm drawing a second animation that is, second image that is different, I'm going to hit my F7 key, my function key, to create a new blank frame. Now, I can't see my old line, so I'm going to click on my onion skin tool. That's down here at the bottom of my timeline. And now I can see where my previous one was, and I can go ahead and I can draw another line that looks like, oh, maybe that's how the line might walk. Then I can hit F7 again, and I can continue that process and have that line move. Oops, didn't like that one. Edit, undo. Could also click on the frame and hit delete. Either one of those will work. And so I'm just continuing to hit F7. It automatically goes to the next frame. I don't have to click on the next frame in order for that to work. So here I kind of come into a weird point. So hopefully that won't look too odd as I play back. Now notice I'm going pretty quickly here. If you're doing this as an actual project, then you would want to make sure that you take your time and that it makes sense. All right, let's stop there. So I can take these brackets and I can actually see the entire animation by extending those brackets over my entire frames that I have. I can click off of onion skin so it no longer shows that. Sorry about that. I turned outlines on, by the way. That's what that does. I'm going to hit enter, and there we go. My line is walking across my hills. Now, if that's going too fast for you, which it really is, you'd want to come over to the properties panel. You want to find the frames per second. We consider that the images per second as well, if that helps you a little bit more. I'm going to change it to 12, and now you can see how he's moving a little bit slower. It may make it seem a little bit more jerky, but it does allow us to see the animation a little bit more. All right, so that is a frame by frame animation. If you needed to go back and edit any frame, you would click on that individual frame to change it. And also, by the way, notice you can see how many frames it's showing or how long the animation is taking by looking here. This is actually 2.3 per second. All right. It was great hanging with you, and I'll see you next time.